Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the most mediocre podcast in the Star Wars universe, the 1313 Star Wars Podcast. I'm Tommy.
I'm Jacob.
I'm Jackson.
And today we are joined by...
SKYWALKERHENDRIX.
Woo! Woo! Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. Pretty relaxed. It's kind of rainy out today, so good day for a talk on YouTube.
Sweet.
Awesome. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself. What is your channel all about? You have a big social media following.
So on YouTube, I am kind of like more recent getting into YouTube, but started maybe like 9 months ago, kind of just messing around, just reviewing figures, kind of like just not really taking it seriously, but I'd say around 4 or 5 months ago, maybe even 6, I started, trying to track down some figures to get, early reviews out. Or I think I was one of the first people to have a review of Echo, or I was like the second one because Toying Around had a review out, and then I was fortunate enough to get a second review out. But I mean, I don't have like a crazy YouTube following, but I'm more active, I feel like, on Instagram. And but I mainly do reviews, but I'm getting more into wanting to do some other things central around Black Series or Star Wars in general. So
Sweet. That's awesome. So you said you started recently. So what made you want to do the YouTube side of things as opposed to just the Instagram stuff?
Right. So I feel on Instagram I'm more just like Star Wars all around kind of page, I'd say, not just focus on anything specific, just all around Star Wars. But with YouTube, I was getting into the Black Series. I started collecting around 2019. And then just getting into watching reviews, because I never knew there was that type of community, honestly, out there that was like that obsessed as I was with, action figures. So it was just cool getting into that. And then a big like inspiration was the Foosh. Obviously, he's like the main guy on YouTube for that kind of stuff. And then Out of the Basement as well, because that was I found them they were maybe around like 3,000 subscribers. So it was like they were kind of like on the smaller side still. I mean, that's still a lot, but they inspired me a lot because it was kind of like, oh, so like everyday people can, just do this for fun. So that was a big inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So you said you started around 2019 collecting. That's kind of when I started collecting. Was like late 2019. Mm-hmm. My first figure was the Captain Rex from the Redbox line, and back then you could get him for I think I got him for $23.99 on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just been crazy to see how inflated his price is now.
Oh yeah.
How do you feel about the market being so ridiculous right now on the aftermarket?
Man, it's crazy to see how new or re-releases so with the new Captain Rex, there's the re-release and then the newer Walmart exclusive. But with that, they announced that, and you just seen everyone trying to offload their Rexes for $100, And part of me, if it's the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive stuff that is rare, I think it's justifiable to try to get a good price, because that's what the price is on the aftermarket. They're not scalping, because you can't get that figure. So I would say it's definitely, there's a lot of scalping, which is not good. But I think there are people that maybe don't know that they're scalping or what it. I think a lot of people just get into the reselling aspect of it, we can make money reselling all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I think the rare stuff, if it's like Emperor on Throne, he's a good figure that he's worth that much because that's the only way you can get him. So I think that's okay, but yeah, the scalping is just ridiculous right now.
Mm-hmm. I think it's definitely crazy, especially when like a brand new figure comes out that's still usually on pre-order and most people are gonna get it still. Like how much people are willing to charge, even if it's like, yo, just pay the retail price for it, because you still can at the moment. Because it's like, even if Pulse doesn't have it, the fan channels usually have it.
Yep, I actually just seen that I seen a tech on Mercari, and dude was asking like $185 for a tech. Jeez. And I was like, you know, you can like probably still go pre-order this places even for retail. It's like, I feel bad for the people that get the fear of missing out, and they get kind of so anxious about it that they're like, I'm gonna go get it, and then, you know, a month later it's like re-release, you know, and it is what it is. But at the same time, my like number one rule is, if you miss out on a figure, you'll get it eventually for retail. Like you're almost guaranteed to have a re-release. You know, Rex just got a re-release, and he's not even that old of a figure. And I mean, he was just a hot figure, and they even re-released him. So I think it's a patience thing with the Black Series.
Yeah, I totally see you on that. I mean, I was able to get the Rex re-release for myself just because we have one for this collection back here, but then I wanted one of the red box ones. But I have every single clone commander, and I bought all of them as a re-release minus Bly, because that was the first clone commander I got. But it's like right now I'm like playing the game and I'm trying to get Fox, but at the same time I don't think they'll do a re-release of Fox because he was an exclusive.
Yeah, you never know though, because I mean, you just never know. Hasbro is really weird sometimes. Even like Big Bad Toy Store, Dorkside, they will have extra stock that was maybe in the back or didn't sell out, but they said it was sold out, and they'll come back and maybe have like 20 figures available for you can pick them up. But yeah, it is, because I'm even that way sometimes, because I wasn't collecting, you know, back in before 2019, and there's a lot of great figures that, you know, came out before that, and even going back and seeing some for like, you know, $40-$50, it's like, should I just pull the trigger, you know, and get it now? But, you know, it's all about like weighing the options, I feel like.
I mean, part of that, like, you talked about the fear of missing out. Like, it's kind of crazy that the market is at a point where that is something that's so real. It's really sad that people have to be so concerned about, oh my gosh, if I don't get the figure right at release, I'll never get it again. That they're actually that compelled to just go buy it for like triple, quadruple the retail value. And that's insane to me. And it just kind of speaks volumes to like how Hasbro has problems with distribution with the retailers. As opposed to like, you know, they need stock, you know what I mean? And the business model for the big retailers is just to sell one action figure a week. It's not to have stuff on the pegs.
Exactly. And the other thing is, I've seen it recently with I want to say like the Rex and Imperial Crosshair. I'm in like a lot of different Facebook groups and stuff, and this guy was like, I missed out on the pre-orders, and now I'm never gonna be able to get this figure. And I think people are also uninformed that like this will be available online again the day it releases. Maybe not for a long time, but it will be in stores and released again that day. So I just think people kind of, they get the fear of like, I'm never going to be able to get this figure. And it's it's really about like just taking a deep breath and being like, okay, for one, it's a $20 action figure.
Mm-hmm.
For two, which, you know, like, I love collecting, but like I'm not gonna let it get to the point where I'm like losing sleep or like getting so upset that I didn't get this or that. And it's
Mm-hmm.
I just think people need to like take a moment to be like, okay, like I could still get this figure. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. I definitely had one of those panic moments when the like Bad Batch Rex came out,
Oh, yeah.
because I was tasked, because there was
Yep.
multiple figures coming out that day. So Jackson was on one,
Mhm.
I was on Rex, and then my dad was on another figure. And I had to put, like, the Walmart website didn't save my information for my address for some reason, and I missed it, and I was so mad at myself, but I kept refreshing the page for like 20 minutes, and then just magically it just came back up for like a second wave,
Yep.
and I was able to get it then. So thank goodness. But I was like, for that that half hour, I was so upset. I was like, no.
I was the exact same. Like, I was sitting there, and I'm like, I was on like immediately, and I was able to get it into my cart, and as soon as I pressed checkout and pay, it was like, sorry, we're out of stock. But then I was refreshing, and about like 20 minutes later, it came back in, and I have like the Walmart app, which
Mhm.
has like all my information in it already, and it will already be in my cart once it comes back in stock.
Yeah,
So
that's
then
what
you
happened
just
to me
go to
too.
your cart. Yeah, you go to your cart, check out quick, and you got it. But
I think the only reason,
definitely.
because I was just gonna say
Go
the
ahead.
only reason why I think we were able to get it is because when it sold out, they took it off the website. So when they got more units in, they didn't repost it until a little while later. So fellas that had it in
Yeah.
their cart already had the chance to get it.
Yeah, definitely. And again, it's just those times where, you know, people might have gotten so mad that when they first pulled it up, and they're just like, screw this, I'm done. But they had another opportunity to get it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I mean, yeah, what's crazy to me, though, right now is the difference in how the business end of it works.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look back to before, I mean, even when Disney first bought Lucasfilm and the Star Wars license, you had products all the time everywhere. Like, granted, like, they weren't the greatest products, like the little like 5-point articulation figures.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still something. Like, if you were a kid that loved Star Wars and you wanted to go to the store and get a Star Wars toy, it was there. And the business model has now shifted to a point where we're selling, like, I'm sure you heard about it, or you were, did you get the Tartakovsky figures?
Yeah.
Yeah, and now we're at a point where we're selling pictures of a character for a product that doesn't even have 3D renderings yet, and we all pre-ordered it. And it's like, what is going on? We're selling out of product that hasn't even been made yet.
Mhm.
And that just blows my
Mhm.
mind.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's crazy, especially because with the price hike too. They were all $26.99, and they could all literally be 100% reuse with like extra cape for Mace Windu, or which I wouldn't be like 100% mad at it. But again, it's like they should have gave us at least a render of like, this is what it's going to look like,
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Hasbro. If you notice, when other companies maybe have like a little collector con or a little special exclusive or something, Hasbro always has to like one up it almost. Like, they have to come in with their own figures that are exclusive. And I think the Walmart con or collector con or whatever kind of like caught them by surprise, and they were like, well, maybe they had figures that they were going to do for it, but they don't want to do those yet or something. And they kind of got maybe scared and were like, well, we have these like in the pipeline, let's just sell them off now. And I mean, we all went for it too, because we all pretty much got them. So it's really, it's funny when I don't like to complain about, Hasbro or whatever, because at the end of the day, we're the ones that are letting them still do it, We're still buying everything they put out, $30 Rex. Well, we're all still going to get it, complaining about it, but we're still going to get it, So at the end of the day, it really just comes down to, like, either you want to really stand strong and not get their figures anymore and kind of like boycott them, or just kind of put up with it because it's what we got,
I totally feel you that as well, just because it's like there's so many moments where it's like, oh, like, I don't want to support this anymore and blah, 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 but it's like, but they keep making these cool figures, and it's like, if I refuse to buy them, other people are going to buy them, and...
Just more for them.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, and that's the thing. I feel like some people maybe are like, oh, I'm not going to get these because they're overpriced or this and that. But then when they come out and people, are putting reviews out and pictures, people are like, man, should have probably got that. But that's where I think, for me anyway, like, kind of going through the, like, trials of collecting and, like, finding stuff, I think it just prepared me to future-proof myself for, like, figures, stuff like that, where I get a figure and I'll, even if I don't know it's going to be a great figure or whatever, I'll still have it and, maybe could resell it if I really don't like it, or, stuff like that. So.
Mm-hmm. And on the topic of our collections and, like, our opinions on the collections, I have a few questions. Like, what's your favorite Black Series figure? Like, out of all the ones that you own, or ones that you don't own, and one that you really want, like, what's your favorite?
I mean, I've gone back and pretty much gotten every figure that I want for a reasonable price. Some of them I've paid, a little bit more, but that's because that's what they're worth.
Mm-hmm.
But so I have most of them that, like, are, like, my personal, like, great figures. I think Bly and Rex are both, like, at the top of my list.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Darth Vader, ESB Darth Vader would have to be, like, my number. If I could only have one figure on display that represents my love for Star Wars, probably have to be Empire Darth Vader. But I mean, like, I'm the type that, I'm looking around and there's so many great figures in the Black Series, especially recently. I think Q90 is a great figure that is recent. I think, Echo, Obi-Wan, just, we're, like, really, that's another thing I wanted to talk about, was how the price increase correlates with the increase in quality and stuff. But I just think we're in, like, the prime time to be, like, Black Series collectors. So I'd have to go with probably Darth Vader. Or,
Okay.
I mean, Boba Fett, the deluxe Boba Fett's great too.
Yeah.
So I'm one of those people I just go back and forth. So what about you guys, though?
I'd probably have to say my favorite figure that we own is probably the Captain Rex, because Captain Rex is, like, my favorite character. A favorite figure that we don't have yet, it's one that's not even made yet. I'm so excited for the Bad Batch Echo figure to come out. It's my favorite member of the Bad Batch. I think his, like, character design is so cool. So that's a figure I'm gonna get, like, one for the display here and one for, like, my college dorm. So.
Yep.
I think for me...
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good.
I think for me, my favorite... Last time I got asked this question, I think I said Cad Bane.
Yes.
But I think this time around, I really love that Wrecker figure.
Yes.
Like, he is so just...
good.
Everything about him... I got mine... I pre-ordered mine with GameStop. So I ended up getting him, like, a little early. And he's just... Every time I look at him, like, every time I mess with him, he's just so awesome. And for such a big figure, he's got such great articulation.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing about him is that I could put him on the shelf and I can have his helmet, like, sitting on his head like he does in the show. And I think that's... Yeah, he's definitely my favorite right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, for myself, I mean, the last time I was asked this, I said my Jango Fett figure from Star Wars Bounty Hunter. I really liked that game. Jango Fett's like one of my all-time favorite characters. But I mean, like, my close second right now would just have to be all of my Bad Batch ones, just because those are ones that I've literally just sat around with and reposed like 100 times. And I love how the figures look for those. Just like Wrecker's awesome. I went hunting with my dad and we got Tech. And, like, I wouldn't stop messing around with him. Like, he feels so good. I really like that figure a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think too, like, the best figures are those figures that you just, like, can't stop, like, messing around with.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you walk past and see it, it's like, maybe let's try a new pose or something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Bad Batch figures are amazing. Like, I was talking about it in my Wrecker review. Like, they're just great. You get, like, great, like, attitude out of the poses, and just there's so much you can do with them. And same with just the newer, like, kind of articulation scheme that Hasbro is going with, you know, the double dumbbell joint in the neck and the butterfly joints and the elbows that go past 90. I mean, like, you can get some great poses with some of these figures.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with the Bad Batch, I remember when I got my Tech, he was the last one that I needed from the original 4. And I was taking pictures of them, like, on my dining room table. And I was able to get every single one of them into a running pose where they're standing on just one foot.
Dang.
Yeah, and it took a little while to balance them, but, like, I never was able to do that with action figures. Like, I always had action figures as, like, a kid when I was, like, a teenager, and that was something I was never able to do, because they were just too top-heavy or, you know, stuff like that, but these figures are just so well made now. They literally balance like an actual person, and so that's just awesome. I think that's... The figures are dope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if any of you guys have the Dagobah Luke, but or specifically the 2-pack where he comes with the hand, and you can actually, like, it might take a while, and it's better to do it like fresh out of the package, but, like, you can stand him on his hand and he will balance. Like, it's crazy.
That's so sick.
Yeah. So how do you feel about the Bad Batch? Have you been caught up on that?
Yes, the recent episode was, I think, if anyone, like, had doubts about the show as, like, a whole, I think we're, like, put to rest at that last episode, because just the emotion of, like, the no music in the outro, like, it hit different, especially for, like, a big Clone Wars fan like me. It was like they just sank the Clone Wars, you know. So it was pretty intense, but I love it. Like, even hearing people like, oh, it's filler and blah blah blah, I'm like, you know, like, we all love the Clone Wars, and you got to remember some of those episodes were, like, pretty, not rough to get through, but it wasn't what, like, I feel like if the Clone Wars and those type of episodes came out now on a weekly basis, people would be trashing on that way more than the Bad Batch. So
Yeah.
I just look at it in that context where, like, once it's all the way over and you can go back and watch it all the way through, then it, like, I feel like it'll be, like, you know, like a long movie, and I think it flows really nicely.
Just kind of thinking about, because I forgot to mention this in the show that we shot this morning for, like, parallels, because everything rhymes. It's like poetry. But I really could see the ending of this week's episode with Kanan's death. Obviously, it's a screen with a solid color, no music.
Yes.
Just goes right to the end.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
obviously, instead of the death of Kanan, it's like what you said. It's the end of the clones in the Clone Wars entirely.
I mean, but you kind of have to do that, because you can't go from something like that big to just
Well, they did it. They did it before, like when with Cad Bane, the Cad Bane reveal. They were just like, "Oh, and that's the end of the episode." I was like, "What do you mean?"
But it makes more sense for this because it's like an emotional thing,
right?
They want you to sit there and be digest the situation. They don't want you to be like, "Oh my gosh," and immediately you just get pulled out of it by the boop. So it's like. It's a really wise creative decision to do that, to have like a drowning like ominous music to go over the credits instead of it having being the loud and boisterous usual thing.
Yeah, definitely. But I just think seeing the like empty like corridors in Camino and like everything's like empty, it's such like a crazy contrast, especially because. So I've been like rewatching some Clone Wars arcs and stuff in the middle of like every week of the Bad Batch, and just seeing how different and like even it's like black and white. How I feel like how different of a tone these two series has. So like the Clone Wars is like kind of upbeat hero's journey type of, the hero is triumphant almost every episode, and it's still great. Like there's great moments and great like dire moments for the characters in the Clone Wars, but at the end of the day I feel like it's the Republic wins and on to the next battle basically. And this one is kind of the Bad Batch is kind of more like stripping that down in a way where the clones are not winning anymore. In fact, they're being shipped somewhere that we don't even know, and we don't know what's happening to them. And they're kind of the outcasts at this point, and we all feel for that because we went through the Clone Wars, with all these clones in battle, and it's just I love what they're doing with it. I think it's especially now that season 2 got announced, it's like. They're really gonna go like just fly off with this thing, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any personal theories as to what you think are like the clone troopers are going? Because I know we mentioned on the show today that we think that they're all being sent to the Death Star to build it, since people wouldn't miss them, and it's not like they could leak the information.
I was actually just thinking that the other day. I was like, maybe they'll like be slaves and put together the Death Star. And I think like the regs, or just like the not high ranking troops, I guess, would probably do that. But then I think like how Scorch was and some of the other commandos, like the higher ranking guys, they're gonna be training in the stormtroopers. And I think I would like to get like a timeline of how long season 1 is, because just to get like an idea of how quickly they changed over to the stormtroopers, because I think that's the one thing I would just wish they added a little bit more of, like how much time passed, because some episodes we open up with like they just got off like a mission and are going back to Sid, so some time has passed. And I would want to know, like, if it's closer to, like, a couple months or closer to a year, how long season 1 is taking place. But that's, like, mainly my only complaint about the show. Other than that, I think it's great. And, for theories, at first, I think did you guys say that Hunter was going to get a chip put in before last week's episode?
I really thought so.
See, I liked that theory a lot. I was like, man, that totally like would be super badass. But that didn't happen. But I think from the very beginning, I always think like maybe Vader's gonna show up, but I don't know anymore. I don't think he's gonna show up at the end. I think someone's gonna die, and it's gonna probably be Crosshair.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know.
That's what I was thinking. I like my theory right now is because Crosshair right now is on a redemption arc, where he's gonna. I feel like he's going to die saving the Bad Batch after trying to kill them the entire season. So I feel like he's gonna get somewhat of a redemption, because I don't think everybody's gonna be like so open to the fact that he was like, I was trying to kill you, but now we're friends again. So it's like,
yeah,
I feel like he's gonna die, kind of like how Darth Vader had to die at the end of his redemption arc, because the rebellion wouldn't accept him, or how Kylo Ren had to die because the rebellion wouldn't have accepted him because of like all the stuff that he's done. So I kind of feel like Crosshair's gonna have the same fate.
Yeah, I think it has to happen, either that or I don't know. I don't see them killing, like, especially not Echo. Like, I think he's safe. I think Tech is safe, and like, I don't know, Wrecker would be like an interesting way to go, but I think that would be more maybe not hit as hard or make a lot of sense in like a overarching like story. But I think it's got to be Crosshair, or like, I don't want to say Hunter, but like it might be Hunter too. But then with that, I'm like, that's the leader of the show in my opinion. So it's like, where's season 2 gonna go from there then if he does die, or will Crosshair kind of step into his role because he feels bad or something? I don't know, but I think someone's gonna die for sure.
Yeah, I think you're right about Echo being safe. I think out of everybody, Echo is the most safe because he represents the perspective of a reg in the show, and he constantly is giving the perspective of, like, not the way the Bad Batch think, per se. He's kind of showing things from just your regular run-of-the-mill clone.
They also just saved him, like, so I don't think they're gonna, like, hey, we got this new guy! Yeah. Oh, he's dead. I don't think they're gonna do that.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys watched the Suicide Squad that just came out, but
I've not seen it.
Oh, well, I'm not gonna say nothing, but like, that's a little bit of like going into that. Like, there's a lot of characters that have untimely deaths, but I think that would be like, it would just be so weird to have, because it was kind of the whole first arc of season 7 of Clone Wars was, Echo's back and he's gonna be on the Bad Batch, and then end of season 1 of the Bad Batch and he dies. Like, I don't think they do that. Just like, it'd be like, obviously not as significant, but it'd be like when they brought Maul back just to kill him, like, in that season. Like, I just don't see it happening. But I think it's got to be Hunter or Crosshair.
Makes me sad to think about, but it really seems like that could be the case.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll drag it out, Maybe we'll get left... I think, Dave Filoni fashion, we might get left on a cliffhanger.
We will.
In the end of this...
I was going to say, I definitely see a cliffhanger, because, especially with the announcement of season 2, it's like they're going to leave us hanging for sure.
Definitely.
But hey...
But I'm loving the show.
We got a week.
It's awesome.
We got a week to the resolution, and we might really like it, or we might not like it at all. I guess we're gonna like it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it opens. How, like, are they just underwater? Is like water even getting into where they are yet? Like, it's gonna be interesting how they get out of that scenario.
Omega will just use the Force.
That would be cool to see.
Oh no, they're just gonna find that there's actually a Gungan city under Kamino the whole time, and we're gonna get Jar Jar 2. Everybody's gonna love it. Bad Batch Jar Jar.
Ooh, that would be interesting to see Jar Jar in the Bad Batch.
No.
Because everybody, like, every episode of the show so far has shown a character from either Rebels or the Clone Wars, and like where they are after the fall of the Republic. I'd be interested to see.
We know what happened to Jar Jar after the fall of the Republic. He went to Padme's funeral. That's what he did.
He in like, I don't know if this is even canon anymore, but like in like Legends and stuff, he became like a jester for the Empire, and like was like basically like shamed, and like everyone hated on him, like threw stuff at him when he was performing. It's a goofy little story, but
Jeez.
I'd actually be interested, just like a quick little like show Jar Jar somewhere, maybe like working on like at a shop or something, and
Jar
like
Jar's a slave working on the Death
spaceport
Star.
or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be
Yeah, I definitely feel like anyone who's a hardcore Clone Wars fan too is gonna remember that AZ is also a water bike, so fit the whole
Ooh,
batch
you're
on
right.
AZ.
That's true.
Because Fives used him to get across the water on Kamino to distract.
I feel like
them.
one
I
of
forgot about that.
big
What-
brain moment.
I feel like one person is gonna take him all the way back to where their shuttle is and fly back and just get him, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, we're swimming here, but oops, sea monster."
Bro,
Wow.
AZ could literally do that. Water bike over to the
Or-
shuttle, bring it.
I mean, didn't Obi-Wan Kenobi like use those like water pterodactyl things to like get out of the water too? So they got some options.
Don't clones also have the water breathing devices anyway with them? Because I know Jedi do, but I thought clones had that as well on
Maybe they
hand.
can swim.
They might.
Because they have like the grenade on their back and other crap, so they probably have to.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be very
Yeah.
tactical of them if they didn't.
Yeah, that. I don't know. It's very like it definitely leaves like a lot to question for this finale, and I
Yeah.
like that. I like when the episodes do that and they leave you wanting to watch the next one.
Yes.
But yeah, so
definitely.
what is your favorite Star Wars movie?
I gotta say Revenge of the Sith. I just think, I mean, like, I could be stereotypical and say Empire Strikes Back, but I'll be interesting today and say the second to most probably said one, which is Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just because I think it was the first Star Wars film I saw in theaters, and I was just so excited to go see it. I remember it was PG-13, and there was like my parents were like talking like should we let them see it, and I was like, it's Star Wars, like you gotta let me see it. So they took me to it, and I was a huge fan of Anakin Skywalker as a kid, and I remember we had all the movies before Episode 3 came out. I lined them all up when I was like probably 4 or 5 years old. And I was looking at all of them, and I was like, I think one's missing. And like at that time as a kid, you're not like, oh, a new movie's gonna be made or whatever, you know. So I was like, I feel like one is missing out of these movies. And then sure enough, Episode 3 came out, and my mind was like blown. I was like, I knew it. There's one missing, and I'm gonna get to see it now. And I was just so excited, and it just is like nostalgic for me. But I'd say I really like Episode 5 and 6 a lot. Six goes like back and forth because that's a real nostalgic movie for me too. Just brings me those feelings of being like a little kid again. But yeah, I mean, I'd probably have to say like the one I can rewatch the most is definitely Revenge of the Sith.
Mhm.
I just think it's a great movie.
Yeah, totally feel you on that. That's my favorite as well, just because it's amazing.
Yeah, same here.
My favorite's A New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I'm,
Nice.
I'm an old school guy like that. I just like the original movie. I used to not
Yeah.
like A New Hope that much when I was a young kid. Just because it was an
Me
older
either.
film, you know. But now
Right.
I've really grown. It's really grown on me, and it's just I like just that it starts everything. You know what I mean? Like everything
Mhm.
came after that
That-
movie.
Yeah, that's kind of how like I am too now. Like A New Hope was probably like at the bottom of my list back in the day, but like I still liked it. But like now you go back and you watch it, and you like get to appreciate like this whole universe was like built from this, and like even like a 2-second line of Obi-Wan saying we fought in the Clone Wars together like sprawled like a whole bunch of like more universal, like just crazy expansion from like dialogue and like one-liners and all the characters that got a backstory because they were in Star Wars. Like it's just such a cool thing to go back, and I wish I was born in that time of like Star Wars coming out and it being like this groundbreaking thing. And even with the prequels, I feel like it was groundbreaking. And like one thing that I will stand by is like if George Lucas never made like any Star Wars movies, and like say he was like a car salesman or something, and that in like a different timeline, and if he never made movies, like the film industry would probably be like 20 years behind right now. So like right now we would probably get like movie quality of like the 90s. And I just think people appreciate George, but like they don't appreciate that he like revolutionized filmmaking twice with the originals and the prequels. So I just think it was just a great thing for film in general.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you there. That movie really just, and I think that's another staple of Star Wars is it's constantly pushing the limits of filmmaking. Whether it's the Clone Wars pushing the limits of like animated shows, or it's the Mandalorian pushing the limits of what you can do in an enclosed environment using like video game technology. Star Wars has been, it's a running theme that it's constantly like pushing the bounds of filmmaking and unlocking new technologies for other filmmakers to use. So I think that's a really good point to bring up.
I totally agree.
That's like another like one of the big things what I absolutely love about Star Wars, because I'm into like kind of like filmmaking and like how films are made, things like that. Like I watch this YouTube channel called Corridor Digital all the time, and they make like short films. But they have the Corridor Crew channel, which they like do like lots of behind the scenes and how like films are made, and they have like a VFX artist react series where they delve into like how things are made, and they have like full episodes on Star Wars, and it's just so cool just to like dive in and talk about like how things were done, like especially back in the 70s, how it's all analog technology and it's not digital. I just find this stuff super cool and super interesting, and the fact that Star Wars continues to push boundaries of filmmaking is just one of the things that I adore about it, just because I think it's so cool.
Yeah, I'm that way too. Like I love like how films are made. Like I watch a lot of that channel as well. I think they're great at like kind of making it more interesting to like see how different things were done, and I think it's insane how I still think that Revenge of the Sith, like there's some spots that the effects are kind of outdated, but for the most part, like I think that movie like holds up to today's like VFX standards. So like, and even like you said with The Mandalorian, like they got a whole new way now to make TV shows that they look really real, and it's low budget. It's crazy how you look at all these different things in film history and how things have evolved, and how Star Wars is like a huge part of those things evolving. I just think it's great.
Yeah, so you had said that right before we started recording, you said you wanted to get into a conversation about the sequel trilogy. And so I was curious to know what you wanted to talk about regarding that stuff.
Yeah, so me personally, I enjoy The Force Awakens on just like a fun film level, and the other two are kind of just lost for me. And for a while after they all came out, I was very much kind of like, oh, it's Star Wars, so like I'm gonna have to like it because it's something I love. And I was really like I did not want to not like something that I love so much, and like feel kind of accept the disappointment for me personally. Because, and another thing I think for like me personally, so like I don't want anyone to think that like, oh, I'm hating on the sequels, because no, I honestly am like intrigued to understand what makes them likable to people, because I'm just interested to see, and maybe I could see it from a different way. But I just think the main stinger for me was like, I'm a big like original trilogy type of guy. I love those movies. Basically, like the original six for me are like, that's like what I see as Star Wars, and like that's what I collect, and as along with like Clone Wars and The Mandalorian. But as far as the movies go, I think for me, I was, when I found out that they were doing another trilogy, and that, you know, Luke, Han, and Leia would be back, I think a big part of me was waiting to see the scene that had them all together fighting, you know, reunion time, like, let's, you know, kick some ass, and like we're all like kind of experienced at this point, so we're like just, you know, efficiently like battling as a team. Like I think that would have been really cool to see. But unfortunately, we did not get that. And I do like the scene with Han and Leia. Like, that was a good scene. And I do like The Force Awakens for the most part. But, like, for me, I just feel like they are more of, like, a fan fiction in my eyes. Like, what could have happened, or, you know, stuff like that. But my main question I wanted to talk about was with The Last Jedi. I think one of you said that, yeah, you The Last Jedi, you like it. So
Yeah.
I want to know why you like it so much, basically.
Yeah, so I have a really interesting relationship with The Last Jedi. I watched it opening night with my father and my sister at the movie theater in 2017 when it came out. And I walked out of the theater going, man, I really liked that movie. After that, I kind of fell down the YouTube hole of, I was consumed by those 2.5 hour video essays talking about why the movie was objectively bad. And I think that really changed my perspective on the movie, because I wasn't having my own opinions on it. I was just regurgitating things that other people were saying about the movie, and kind of just hopping on that train of thought. That being said, there is a ton of stuff with The Last Jedi that I feel is very sensible to have, you know, complaints about, and to, you know, to critique, because it's not a perfect movie by any means. I think it was when The Rise of Skywalker got announced. I remember me and all my friends, like these guys included, we were all super, super excited. I remember when at Celebration that Palpatine laugh was in the trailer. Everyone went nuts. And so we were just like theorizing about the movie. And so then I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch the other movies and see what's going on. And I sat down and I watched The Last Jedi, and I told myself, you know what? I'm going to try to purge all of the negative things that I can't stand about the movie, and all the things that I've, you know, watched on YouTube and all that. And I'm going to try to just watch the movie with a fresh perspective. And I finished the movie and I was like, oh, wow, I didn't hate that. And then I watched it again, just on a whim. I kind of go through, I'm sure you know what I mean, when I go through phases where like I just wake up and I'm like, oh, I want to watch The Phantom Menace sometime. You know what I mean? Like, I'll just want to watch a movie, and
Yep.
For some reason, The Last Jedi came to mind, so I watched it again, and then I've watched it, you know, repeatedly again and again, and it's steadily gone up the pegs on my Star Wars movie list. It's now, like, it's like probably like my third favorite movie, and I think if I were to boil it down to just a couple points as to why I like the movie, and for me, it's like, this is just me personally, you know what I mean? Luke Skywalker in that movie is one of my favorite things in all of Star Wars. And the reason why is because Luke's arc in that movie is someone who was so great and believed in himself, and everyone believed in him. And out of fear, he lost everything that was ever meaningful to him because he feared something that could happen. And he gets to the lowest of his lows, and he just kind of quits. He gives up. And to see him rise once again and be even more powerful than he ever was on screen or in any books or anything that was so striking to me as somebody who, I've been at rock bottom. You know what I mean? So to know that one of my childhood heroes, to see them hit rock bottom and that you can get up and it's never too late to stop. And I think that that's an awesome line in The Rise of Skywalker too, where Luke tells Rey, confronting fear is the destiny of a Jedi, because Luke knows better than anyone that he has to confront his fears. So I really like that. I also love, a lot of people love Kylo Ren in that movie. He's just so unhinged, and he's so different from other Star Wars villains. Like Palpatine is like your stereotypical evil, like he's pure evil. And, Vader is the dark side, the guy who was in the light side and got pulled to the dark. Kylo Ren is in the dark side getting pulled to the light. You know what I mean? You don't really see that as much as you do, the heroes being pulled to the dark. So I really like him. And I think the other message of the movie that really just gets me is just that message of just not giving up. And it's a theme with every character, with every plot line is not. It's never too late to change, and it's never too late to correct your course that you're on. With that all being said, I'm not a fan of like the Canto Bight sequence. I know that it's just not. I watch it. Sometimes when I watch a movie, I'll skip past it because to me it just isn't that entertaining. And there's there's parts of the movie that I'm not a fan of. Like, Holdo's not my favorite character, but I actually got myself to a point where I was able to rationalize her decision making, and it actually makes the movie a lot more bearable to watch when she's on screen.
She's just the one part of the movie where I can't get over.
Yeah.
She's like, because I can watch that movie and I can get past the bombs, like, acting like they have gravity and falling onto a ship. I can get past that. I can get past the really crummy Canto Bight scene. I can get past Luke kind of dying in a way where I'm not the biggest fan of, but I cannot get past her. Especially, like, going into the military and, like, taking, like, classes on how to be a leader. Seeing her, she's like a perfect picture thing of everything not to do. Like, because you don't leave your informants in the dark on the plan, because then they go to Canto Bight because you don't tell them what the plan is. So it's just like, she's the one part of the movie where I can't get over. But for the most part, the movie's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, there's parts of the movie I really like Crate, absolutely amazing. That made an outstanding Battlefront 2 map. That was so much fun to play.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the sequence on that, the concept of the planet. There was other parts as well that I really liked as well. But I mean, it's not in my top 3 like it is Tom. Tom definitely likes it a lot more than Jacob and I both combined. But I mean, beyond that, I really, really liked The Rise of Skywalker. That was actually one of my favorites, actually. I really did enjoy that. For some reason, it was like that, and then the combination of that coming out and The Mandalorian, like, really helped me, like, get back into Star Wars.
I feel like Jedi Fallen Order, too, came out around the same time, and I think it was just so much
Yep.
Star Wars from so many different eras and everything, that really, all three of us, like, we were, like, I've always been a Star Wars fan ever since I can remember, but I really think that I wasn't really as into it, and then in 2019, when all that stuff came out, I was just floored.
And then especially, like, with The Mandalorian coming right on its heels, too.
Yep, The Mandalorian.
That was sick.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's,
And then they
so
announced
that's kind of
season
like
7 of the Clone Wars as well.
Yeah.
So it was just like,
Season 7 of the Clone Wars was one of those moments where, like, I didn't realize how much the Clone Wars meant to me until I saw the announcement that the show was finally getting completed, and, like, I was, like, crying, like, happy tears. Like, that was how, like, I didn't realize how much that show meant to me as a child until I saw the announcement that it was getting brought back, and I sent it to my dad, I remember, and he was like, "This is fake," and I was like, "It's not fake." I was like, "It's on like the Star Wars YouTube channel, like this is real," and I just, yeah, like that was a crazy announcement. That was just,
Yeah, I think, I mean, the Mandalorian for me is what, like, because I think the Mandalorian came out a little bit before Rise of Skywalker. And that really like pulled me back in, like, so I again, like, I've been a Star Wars fan, you know, my whole life since I was a kid, obsessed with it, always, you know, got action figures of it, but in my like later teenage years I kind of, you know, drifted away, as you know most teenagers do from their childhood like interests. And you know, I still loved it obviously, but I just wasn't as in tune with like everything going on. Like, I don't think I watched Rebels when it came out. I watched like the first season of Clone Wars when I was a kid, but even then, like, I was getting into my like early teen years, so then I didn't end up watching Clone Wars when I was that age. But The Mandalorian, I ended up watching Clone Wars throughout like my teenage years because I was interested in it. But then Mando came out, and it was like my type of Star Wars, like the dirty, gritty, like kind of bounty hunter, scoundrel type of Star Wars, which I personally just love so much. And then Rise of Skywalker came out, and I didn't really like The Last Jedi, kind of liked Force Awakens, and I saw Rise of Skywalker, and I was like, I love it, you know, I really enjoy this movie coming out of the theater. I thought it was good for me, kind of getting like a feeling like, okay, like at least the ending of this trilogy is good in my opinion. And going back and just like thinking about it, and I was just like, you know, like I like it again, like with all three of those movies, I like them for like kind of just like a fun, flashy film to watch, you know, like kind of like a popcorn film. And but like what you had just said about Luke Skywalker, about his arc in that, I wanted to look at it that way when I got done after seeing it, and I wanted it to look at it that way, because even like some people were like, why did he die? And I was like justifying. I was like, he used all his power in the Force to like help these guys, and it just took all his energy. And like as I'm explaining it, I felt like it was like me trying to kind of like justify it, in my opinion, was just losing it for me. But like I like what you said about it, because I think it gives me a different perspective on it, about like how like you get knocked down and like you get back up, because I resonate with that a lot. But like in that film, it didn't resonate like that with me for some reason. And I feel like it was I really like the crate sequence was amazing, just like the visual aspect of it. And I've always loved Kylo Ren. Like I just made a post on Instagram saying like if there's one sequel figure that I want in the Black Series, it's Ben Solo, like Redemption Ben Solo. I think that would be a great figure. I love that part of Rise of Skywalker. Basically anything with Kylo in it. And again, like Palpatine coming back, for me, it was just like it kind of undermined Anakin's arc just like a little bit. And I think there's things that they could have done differently, like small changes that they could have done, where like I would have like loved this trilogy, like absolutely loved it. And but like there's just those small things for me that are just like, and I think it all comes down to personal preference, like how you view Star Wars and the characters, like what they mean to you personally. And like what Luke means to me, you know, might not be what Luke means to you guys. So I think that's why too I don't think as much anymore, but at that time there was a huge divide in the fan base, and I think it all came down to that, basically, was how you viewed these characters. And I think any bigger than life franchise is going to have that, where obviously like these characters aren't going to do what you want them to do, you know, and I think that's just part of it. But man, I like, again, like I really want to like them, and I recently went back and watched Force Awakens, and I was like, you know what, this is actually like a good film. And I don't know, I think too, a big piece was me growing up and wondering what Luke did after episode 6, and reading Legends where he's like super OP. Like, so in my mind I was like, he could have went to Crate and like literally like crushed all these like whatever they're called, the AT-AT big First Order walkers. Mm-hmm. And so in my mind it was that OP Luke that was like just crazy powerful, and I just felt like I didn't get that in that film. But like, I'm like actually like jealous of people that like those films, because I'm like, I just want to like it. But yeah,
I think that's a good point that you just brought up, is there are so many people that, myself included, like we wanted to know what Luke Skywalker was doing after Return of the Jedi, and we wanted to see how, because he's going to grow more powerful than he was in Return of the Jedi, so you want to know like what happens to him. And I think that the 30-year time gap between episode 6 and episode 7 kind of left everybody like, well, what did Luke do? And so it was awesome to see in The Mandalorian Season 2, Luke in his prime, 6 years after Return of the Jedi. This is where he's his most powerful, you know, he's at his peak, and he just obliterates those Dark Troopers. And I think that for a lot of people, that satisfied that thing that they felt they missed out on with The Last Jedi, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because so like that specific thing, like when he came back, you know, you see the X-Wing pull in, and like, you know, right away it's, so I think another thing like with it's poetry, like it rhymes and stuff, is I think I want to say in Rebels, the first time when Vader like comes, it's just him and his little TIE fighter, and they're like, it's just one TIE fighter, you know, and then he messes everything up. And then in this Cara Dune's like, it's just one X-Wing, and it, you know, I like that parallel. But yeah, I think that was definitely for the fans like me that felt like we just missed something with Luke, like, because technically he didn't even ignite his lightsaber that whole movie. I mean, like, we seen it in the projection, but like, that, to me, that's just not the same as like Luke being there igniting his lightsaber. So I think, yeah, it really like paid off in that way, and I think they are going to give us more of that Luke, like fresh after episode 6, more in the future, maybe sprinkled throughout the different shows coming out. But I think we'll get more Luke for sure.
Yeah, and I think that I think that too was kind of it for me with The Last Jedi. I had to come to that realization of, okay, well, Luke is not what I wanted him to be. And I think that that's the same thing goes for The Bad Batch, with everybody saying filler, filler, filler. We all have an expectation, and then when the expectation isn't met, were disappointed, and that's normal. That's a normal reaction, you know. I just feel like with the Bad Batch, it's like blown a little out of proportion with the because I mean, there's a difference between with the Last Jedi. People had known Luke Skywalker for 40 years, and they were expecting something of Luke Skywalker. But with the Bad Batch, we've known these characters. We didn't know them barely at all before the Bad Batch started. We saw them in Clone Wars Season 7, but, you know, oh, like, this one is good with scent, and this one's smart. You know what I mean? That was it. But now they're these really fully fleshed out characters because of those slower episodes. You get the chance to really delve into them.
I definitely agree with that, because even after Season 7, I think they announced that the Bad Batch was going to be in a show, and even I didn't really like resonate with those characters in Season 7. Now I do. I love every one of the characters, but at that time I was like they're gonna like it felt a little like gimmicky in my opinion. Of like each one has a different specialty, you know, kind of like the Ninja Turtles. Like it's kind of been done a lot and is a little like cliche at this point, but I think they did it in like a great way in the show, and like I liked them in Season 7. Like they were great for that arc, but like I didn't imagine like what a whole show like focusing on these guys was gonna be like, but it definitely like surpassed my expectations. So, and I think people need to maybe, I wouldn't say lower your expectations, but like especially with TV, like TV, they can't have like a crazy episode, you know, a bunch of action every episode, because they're on a budget, you know. So I don't know why people think that TV can just be like crazy every episode, but I mean, I don't know, but I think overall, like, so they're kind of saying that with The Mandalorian Season 2, and it was at the beginning when after like episode 2, and it's silly that it's like so early on people are like, oh, it's filler, but it gives you those character moments and it builds for later payoffs, in my opinion.
Yep, absolutely.
So I think I think it's totally necessary to have those episodes where you're just, you know, kind of calm and, you know, nothing crazy's happening, because that'll come later, you know.
So I have, when you were talking about the Bad Batch, for some reason, and you were talking about like them each having their own abilities, I thought of this theory just now, and I wanted to share it with everyone.
I
think it's cool. So, you know how the Bad Batch, like, they each have their own, like, character trope type thing. You know what I mean? Like, one is strong, one is very accurate.
Right.
So, have you heard of, it was in Legends, the comics, the Task Force 99, the Imperials?
Yeah.
I haven't, like, read anything about it, but I've heard of it for sure, yeah.
So what would you think if Nala Se was instructed to recreate the Bad Batch as like an Imperial version, and the Bad Batch has to go head to head with Task Force 99?
That'd be awesome.
I think that I was just thinking about that, and I was like, man, that would be a good like enemy for them, because it's literally themselves.
Exactly.
You know, and it would make sense too, because Nala Se has all they took her, and she has all that knowledge.
Mm-hmm. It's really stupid because when you were thinking, you're like, I was making this comparison to this, and when we were thinking about all the different attributes, I was like, wow, it's kind of like how the Demon Slayer and the Demon Slayer Corps have like these different attributes to them. Like Tanjiro has good smell, and I don't know why that was my go-to thing to think of, but that was that.
No, the Bad Batch is literally just Star Wars' version of Penguins of Madagascar.
That is a fact. That's a fact. Hunter is Skipper. Tech is Kowalski. It's Wrecker is Rico.
Yes.
And then what's the dumb one? What's his name?
Private
could be Crosshair, or no, Private will be Omega. There you go.
I pulled up Task Force 99.
Yeah, Task Force 99.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I've seen some of the comics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah, I'd love if they did something like that, even if it was like they literally made like exact clones of the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
You know, like so like you're basically seeing the Bad Batch, but all with chips in their head, and like they have to fight their like respective, other,
That'd be cool.
like clone. And yeah, that'd just be cool to see like them, like going into like a facility or something, and then the door opens. They're just like staring back at themselves. Basically, that'd be a cool scene.
That'd be dope.
That would be interesting.
So, I mean, I pretty much think we've covered everything we wanted to talk about. I mean, is there anything that you wanted to say before we kind of close this out here?
No, I mean, thanks for having me on. This was I enjoyed this a lot.
Yeah, this was a really good conversation,
Yeah.
and again, like it just kind of flows, you know
Exactly.
what I mean? And that's the
what
fun
I
part
like
about
about
it.
it.
It's awesome to talk to other Star Wars fans in an environment that's not the internet, where you can just be super toxic and all this stuff. It's cool to just talk about Star Wars, you know?
It's nice
Definitely.
to have a chat.
Have a chat. So, I'm going to pull up Skywalker Hendrix YouTube channel here. So here we go, right here, I've got it. So here is his YouTube channel. You can check him out. It's in all caps there. And this is the same as your Instagram, correct?
Yep. So it's all the same typing or same just all caps basically, no spaces.
And so the YouTube is mostly Black Series reviews, but you also do reviews on some other kinds of figures, right?
Yeah, so I sprinkle in, if I do collect some other type of figures like some NECA movie turtle stuff or some Marvel Legends, some, NECA horror, even some like DC stuff. But I collect those in like such a small quantity that I wouldn't even like consider it collecting, because it's just whenever I'm like out and about, I don't like track down these figures. It's just like if I'm out and I see a cool figure, I'll pick it up. But you'll mainly see Black Series on there, but you'll catch a Marvel Legends or some other type of figures every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. I did see your My Hero stuff, and I was watching that a bit too beforehand. I'm a huge.
Yeah,
I like the show, but I haven't finished watching it.
Yeah, I'm not up to date on it, but that's like Star Wars is like right there for me, and then like My Hero's like almost right there. I love that show, and it's inspired a lot by Star Wars actually, if you like get into that. But yeah.
Very neat.
All right. Well, thank you once again for coming on our show. We really appreciate it. And
Thank you.
We'll have Skywalker Hendrix socials linked in the description below.
Yes.
So you'll be able to follow him there. And this has been the most mediocre podcast in the Star Wars universe.
The 1313 podcast. I'm Jacob.
I'm Jackson.
I'm Dylan.
I'm Jackson.
Thanks for listening.
All right.
Bye.